All right, Robert, I think we're ready to let them in. Hi, everybody. You'll just wait just another second just to let everybody get in here, and then we will get started. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is a Q&A style webinar that we are hosting to have you ask questions and just learn more about the move-in process as we get close here to welcoming you for fall quarter. So I will start by having the panelists introduce themselves and telling you what they do at Western. Firstly, my name is Caitlin. I am the communications consultant for University Residences. I do all the communication and marketing for the dorms. I will pass it off to Katie.
Thanks, Caitlin. Hello, everybody. My name's Katie Lenning. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a program support supervisor at University Residences. And I'll pass to Dong.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dong. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm an assistant director in Residence Life and a Western alum. I will pass it to Dave.
Good evening. My name is Dave Rubel, and I am also an assistant director in Residence Life. My particular area is overseeing care and conduct, so working a lot with students in crisis, as well as in those moments where maybe they don't make the best choices. I am also a parent of a Western student.
Thank you. I'll hop in next. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anya Engeldow. I'm also an assistant director. I work in the business services area of University Residences, and I will pass it over to Sydney.
Thank you. My name is Sydney. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the marketing manager for dining services as well as a Western alum.
I think that concludes our panelists that we have here tonight. I just want to remind all of you that this webinar is being recorded. It will get posted to our webinars page on the University Residences website. So if you know anybody that misses tonight, they're welcome to go look at that recording later and see all the questions that we got answered. Next, before we get started answering some questions, just a couple reminders for you. If you have not already done so, please submit your proof of COVID vaccination or your exemption request as soon as possible. When you arrive to campus without clearance from the Student Health Center, we cannot give you your keys to your room. So please do that. There's only a few of you left, but if you haven't, please get that done. Continue to check your Western email in the coming weeks. Information including where to arrive at move-in, and more things about that will be coming to you. So just keep checking your email. Also, you should have received an email about a community meeting that is being hosted by Residence Life on either Thursday, September 1st or Friday, September 2nd. So make sure you see that. That is a great time to meet your hall staff and just kind of get an idea of what it's going to be like before you get to campus. So if you have questions tonight, make sure you just drop them in the chat. We will get to as many as we can in an hour. As always, if we didn't get to your question or you still have questions after tonight, please feel free to call or email our housing front desk. It's housing@ww.edu, and our phone number is listed on our website. So we will get started here. Start answering questions. So it looks like the first question is for Katie. And the question is, what is the process for people moving into Birnham Wood? Where do people park? Who do and do not have parking passes for that lot? And are there any fees to expect when we get to move in?
Okay, yeah. So for Birnham Wood specifically, but also for all of the halls on South Campus, which includes Buchanan Towers and Fairhaven, you will go to the South Campus tent. There are maps for that on our Move In webpage, which we will put in the chat for you to look at. So that tent is where you will check in and get your keys. After that, you'll be directed back to the Birnham Wood apartment complex. That complex actually has a large lot all around the different buildings, and so you can park there on move-in weekend. It is okay to park and unload there on move-in weekend if you don't have your permit yet, but after move-in weekend, you will need to have a permit in order to continue to park there. And we do also ask overall with anyone unloading to park next to your building, get unloaded, and then move your car away from the building to long-term parking. So overall, for Birnham Wood specifically, you would go to the lot, unload your things, and then move it to the long-term parking lot in the commuter lots, which we will direct you to. There'll be staff there to direct you to that. So overall, the name of the game at Move In is to unload your things and then move your car away from the building so that other people have a chance to unload too.
Caitlin, if you're talking, I think you're muted.
I am muted. Thanks, Dong. This question is for you. What is the student life meeting about, and where can I find information posted about the meeting on either September 1st or 2nd?
Yeah, an email was sent out for everybody who currently has a housing assignment. So assigned to a specific community. If you don't have an assignment yet, you may not have received that link. If you think you should have gotten that email, you're welcome to email me directly, or I can put the link in the chat right now for the Zoom link, and I can read you off the times for your specific building. So on Thursday from 1 to 2 is Buchanan Towers. From 2 to 3 is Edens and Higginson. From 3 to 4 is Ridgeway Beta and Gamma. From 4 to 5 is Birnham Wood. From 5 to 6 is the Soda Community. And on Friday, 1 to 2 is Nash. 2 to 3 is Mathis. 3 to 4 is Fairhaven, and 4 to 5 is Alma Clark Glass and Ridgeway Kappa. These meetings differ from this type of style of meeting, where this is more Q&A and broader. These are actually meeting the people that will be living and serving you in your hall. So giving you information specific to your hall. What is an RA? Who is my RA? Where can I cook in my community? You will meet the specific staff that will be working and supporting you this year. And so they will have more specific information and can answer more specifically for your hall. If you're not able to attend, certainly that's okay. Not everybody can attend. You can go to the housing webpage. where you'll find contact information on your resident director, and you're welcome to email your resident director and connect with them and get more information if you miss it. I'll put my email also in the chat.
Thanks, Dong. The next question is for Anya. Anya, do I need my Western card to move in, and how do I get a Western card?
Okay, that is actually a really great question. For moving in purposes, no, you don't need your Western card, but you do need some form of government issue ID in order to receive your keys. To obtain a Western card, there's a couple ways to do that. If you go to the Western Card Office site, you can sign up for a card in advance, submit a picture, and then there will be a card probably waiting for you in your mailbox when you get to your housing assignment. Or when you come to Western, you can walk into the Western Card Office and get your card that way. I highly recommend going to their website and taking care of that in advance, because at the beginning of the quarter, there are long lines from students that have lost their cards in the previous year. The Western card is also, I just want to bring this up as well. The Western card, students often use that to access the dining halls. They swipe their cards to access their meals. If you don't have your card when you first arrive, that's okay. There's a couple different things that you can do. You can give the cashier your W number, so make sure that you know your student ID number. And Dining Services has a mobile app that you can download on your phone that you can use to scan in and out of the dining hall. It's a useful app. It shows your balances. You can do mobile ordering. I will also drop the link for the Get Mobile app in the chat as well. So I'll put in one for the SBO office, student business office. If you can get your Western card, get that taken care of now. I highly recommend it. And once you have, I'm not sure when meal plans will start showing up on the Get app, but it should be by the time school starts.
Thanks, Anya. The next question is for Dave. Dave, is monkeypox a concern, and are vaccinations required?
Yeah, so I'm not a doctor, but we do have doctors here on campus who we've consulted with. I would say I've seen photos, and as a parent, certainly if I had monkeypox or my kids did, I would be concerned. However, based on the conversations and the doctors at Western, we do not anticipate at this point in time that it is a concern that will affect the operations of the university. So vaccinations are not required at this time. Again, we're not anticipating that, but certainly we will move with recommendations of the Whatcom County Health and wait to see if anything comes of that we should be concerned about.
Thanks, Dave. The next question is for Sydney. Is there a way to find how much a particular dining plan costs?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a website associated with dining at WW called that's www.campusdish.com. There you can find out information about meal plans, what they include, how you can use them, a link to the Get app that Anya was talking about earlier, and also the pricing for each meal plan year to year, both on campus and off campus.
Thanks, Sydney.
Mhm.
The next question is for Katie. I haven't gotten my room assignment yet. Should that be a cause for concern?
Yeah, so I can definitely understand how there are folks that are still feverishly waiting to get their room assignment, and our assignments team is working on that. And so you should have that in the next couple days. At this point, though, I don't want anyone to worry. If you've paid your deposit, we do guarantee you a spot on campus. So you will be able to move in and come live with us this fall. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to our office about your specific assignment after you get it. And then after that, you'd want to be sure to sign up for our move-in time and prepare to move in.
Thanks, Katie. Next question is for Dave. Can students arrive with a certain amount of cars on move-in day?
So thank you for whoever asked that question. So the answer is no, we don't have a limit on the number of cars, but here's what I would suggest, because there are a lot of people trying to move in. And so the more cars that come, the more cars that there are in the lines, and it kind of bogs things down. But we also understand that this may be a family event. I would say take a look at the size of your room before you bring everything, including the kitchen sink, because you probably don't need most of the things that you're thinking you might. You may be able to bring some of those things later or do some other things. However, with that said, if you do bring multiple cars, I really do suggest trying to pack as much in one vehicle as you can, which will get in line to get to a spot to move in. And then if you have a car that doesn't have as many things in it, you could go park in long-term parking, visitor parking, and then walk. And then instead of having to wait in line, just walk to wherever the resident hall that you're moving into is, so that we don't have to have a car that doesn't have belongings in it kind of also taking a space in line. So
Thanks, Dave. Next question is for Dong. Are suite style rooms provided with toilet paper, shower curtain / liner, and bath mat, or do I or my roommates need to buy that?
Great question. For the most part, you do not need to purchase toilet paper. Front desk will provide them for you. There are a few exceptions here and there, which I'll go over in just a second. We do provide the shower curtain in the liner, but there is no bath mat. I think the bigger concern probably to talk to your roommate is getting, if you live in a bathroom or suite that they do not clean as regularly, then you need to discuss with your roommates and suite mates what cleaning materials and equipment that you might need. That information for housekeeping is right there. So typically, if you share a bathroom with 8 or more people, it will be cleaned, or 10 or more people will be cleaned daily. Community bathrooms are also cleaned daily. So that link that I just put in the chat will detail whether it comes with toilet paper or not. So if you live in like a Burnham Wood style apartment, you would be providing everything on your own. But if you live in a suite of 8 or less students like Beta and Gamma, they'll clean it monthly. So that link that I just put in there will detail what areas are cleaned what. And then there's a smattering of rooms, even in suites or larger communities that have private bathrooms, which you'll be responsible for cleaning. So do look at that link and it'll just detail the cleaning schedule, because but for the most part, every desk will have some toilet paper for you to ask, but we don't provide bath mats.
Great, thanks, Dong. The next question is for Katie. Does Western have bins or carts available to unload and move in our items to the dorms?
Yes, we do. We have hand truck style carts available for checkout at the hall front desk. And we also have these big square gray move-in bins, which are super handy. You can fit a ton of stuff in them and just roll them right up to your room. Some of the buildings on the ridge will not have bins with them simply because they have a lot of stairs and the bins are not as useful in those communities. But the majority of the communities do have flat surfaces and elevators to roll your items in, and it really helps unload things much faster. So visit the hall front desk. There'll be signs and people to direct you there to get one if you need. And overall, we ask that if you do get a bin or a cart, to return it after 30 minutes. We have a 30-minute unloading time out in front of the building. So just be sure to get that done as soon as you can and return the cart so that the next person can use it.
Thanks, Katie. Next question is for Sydney. What is the difference between dining dollars and Viking dollars, and where can they be used?
This is always such a good question. So dining dollars are included in your meal plan. They automatically get loaded at the beginning of the year. Viking dollars have to be added on separately. So if you think of it like a reloadable Starbucks card, If you get the card, just the card, it doesn't have any money on it, then you would add money on. That's Viking dollars. So what a lot of people do is if they go through their dining dollars that are included with their meal plan and their parents want to send them some more money, they ran out, they need to get coffee in the morning, their parents will send them Viking dollars instead. You can check your balance on the Get app. You can check your balance when you make a purchase. All of that should be pretty accessible, and they're used everywhere on campus that food is sold aside from Vendors Row. So all of the retail locations, Starbucks, Subway, Panda Express, as well as the dining halls if you're in a pinch.
Thanks, Sydney. The next question is for Anya. Is there a way to inspect your room so you have an idea of what the room is set up like?
I would probably say the best way to get an idea of what your room is going to look like is on our website. We have a section called Life on Campus. If you go in the Life on Campus, there's a section for residential buildings, and then you can go in there and you can explore all the different buildings and look at all the different floor plans for the different residents. You know, if you're in Mathis, you can look at the floor plans for Mathis and get an idea of the layout of your room. So I would recommend starting with our website.
Thanks, Anya. The next question is for Dong. What if it doesn't work out with your roommate? How long do you have to wait to change rooms? Is it hard to get another room? And how long is the typical wait time?
I wish I had a magical answer for that. It really, truly kind of depends. Obviously, you should expect that you might have some differences and might face conflicts with your peers, your roommate. And there are staff on hand to support you through that, to mediate, and also figure out conflict resolution skills. We've all have had to have tough conversations with our friends that we still care about and maintain and build upon those relationships. And that's what we really want students to learn, is to how to have those conversations before they become a larger conflict. Because once you move off campus, once you have a partner, you need to build those skills to do that. That being said, we certainly don't want anybody to remain in an unsafe situation. So if you do think there's a situation that's developing that you really need to work with our staff on, please tell your resident advisor and your resident director immediately so that we can work with you and come up with a resolution as quickly as we can. For a typical room change, it's hard to say. It truly is. We're full at the start of the year and we remain full for quite a while. So it really depends on your situation. We do take it on a case by case, just depending on the situation. But a room change, you can get on the wait list, and it really depends on your preference. We ask a number of things like roommate preferences, room preferences. So if you're like, I only want a single room in Nash Hall with a person who has a pet dog, you might be waiting a little bit longer than someone who says, I'm willing to go anywhere. And so it just kind of depends. But the most important thing I would say is to remain in communication with your resident director as situations develop, as the conflict develops or the relationship develops or changes. The most important thing is just to remain in communication with us. So.
Thanks, Dong. Next question is for Sydney. Does every time you go into a dining hall count as a meal? If you want a quick dessert, does that count as a full meal?
Yeah, great question. So every time that you go into the dining hall, they're going to swipe your card. You pay with those swipes. So depending on your meal plan, that's how many swipes you get for the quarter. So yes, if you wanted to go in for just like a snack or something like that, that would count as a full meal since it is an all you care to eat style facility. That being said, like if you have the unlimited plan, it's probably not a huge deal. Like I always say, I had a friend when I was in college who had the unlimited plan, and he would go in at like 3 o'clock to check the menus for dinner and stuff because it just didn't matter. So it depends on what meal plan you have, how important that really is.
Thanks, Sydney. Next question is for Katie. If I arrive after my registered time slot, will this be an issue? And what happens if I arrive after move-in hours?
Yeah, great question. So overall, if you arrive during the day, either before or after your time slot, we will still check you in at the tent. We definitely realize that things happen and it's very hard to get a lot of moving parts to work exactly how you might want them on move-in day. So we won't turn anybody away if you come to the tent. We'll check you in. Overall, if you come after move-in hours, the tents close down at 4 p.m. And after that, you will come to your hall front desk to check in. And so for that, you would just go directly to the building. We will no longer have the tents open. We won't have the volunteers out to help you unpack, but there will be less traffic after hours. So that can be a plus for some folks too. So you'll go directly to the hall. They will get you taken care of with your keys there, and then you can unload your things at that time.
Thanks, Katie. The next question is for Dave. Can families stay at the dorm for the day to help unpack, or is there a certain time that they will be kicked out?
That is also a great question. So I'm going to answer this in two ways. As an administrator at the university, I will say there is no time when we're going to kick you out. And so you are welcome to stay. Again, once you unload, move your car over to visitor parking, where you're welcome to park there all day as needed. Go help out, get things set up, moved in. A lot of parents sometimes will take their student out to dinner that first night. So that's a pretty popular thing. So again, as an administrator, we are not going to kick you out. The thing I will say as a parent, and this is the second time I've done this, is talk about what that day is going to look like before you leave, because make sure that as a parent, you're on the same page with your student as to kind of when they're going to want you to depart. And for some students, they are really going to want you to stay and go to dinner. And that's a really important thing emotionally. I will tell you, it is often hardest on the parents in order to leave, not always the student. But you know your student best, and that might be a really difficult thing. So you're going to want to judge when the right time to head out is, whether it's because they're ready to go meet people, go to dinner, do whatever they're going to do, or because they need to go do that, as well. So those are my suggestions there. But we're not going to kick you out.
Thanks, Dave. The next question is for Dong. Where can we see what social events are going on the first few weeks?
There are so many events all year long, but particularly for Western Welcome Week, there are a lot of events. There's basically several events going on every single day the first week, right after you move in. And the first place that I would go certainly is called our Western Involvement Network. It's called WIN. And I would go on there to see some of the bigger events around campus and find clubs. A link is in the chat. And then the next thing I would do is make sure you check your email, as well as check out the posters around. Your RA will be definitely advertising and encouraging several events to go on campus. And I believe you'll get more information like in your welcome bag about events and whatnot. But email and WIN are the first two places I probably would go for some of the really big events on campus, like the outdoor movie and convocation and our information club fair during the first week. I would really take a look at those events.
Thanks, Dong. Next question is for Sydney. Are takeout meals allowed on the meal plan, or do meals need to be consumed in the dining area?
That's a great question. So we do in our post-COVID world, or mid-COVID, depending on your perspective, we do have a takeout program for the residential dining halls. So when you initially go into the dining hall, you'll be given a plastic eco-friendly takeout container and given an opportunity to fill it up. We do ask that you leave the dining hall with your food within 15 minutes. So like, don't just grab the takeout container and then sit there anyway. And then when you're done, the next time you come in for your meal, you bring the takeout container back and swap it out for a clean one, rinse, repeat. And you can do that throughout the entire year. Oftentimes students do it if they're not feeling super comfortable in the dining hall or if they're short on time, but that is built into your meal plan.
Thanks, Sydney. The next question is for Katie. How does mailing in your stuff before move-in work?
Yeah, so you can mail things to yourself at your residence hall prior to your arrival. We ask that they don't arrive, any of your items don't arrive any earlier than 1 week before you are set to arrive yourself on campus. That is just because we have so much mail coming in that we don't want to start that too early as it builds up in our main warehouse to large levels. Start ordering that here pretty soon, and they'll be here right on time and waiting for you. Mail pickup is all at your hall front desk. You will get a notification to your Western email when you have a package ready at the desk. So be watching for that. I will also add in the chat the link for our mail and deliveries page on campus that has a lot of good info on your address formatting. It's very important to follow that address formatting to make sure that your items get delivered correctly. That can cause a lot of delays and confusion, especially at the beginning of the quarter when we have a really high volume of mail. So take a look at that. And our contact info, as always, is at the bottom of the page in case you have any questions specifically about a mail situation that you might have.
Thanks, Katie. The next question is for Dave. Where will the tents be located at move-in, and how do we get our room key?
Yeah, so we're going to have 3 tents set up, which is where you will get your room key. And for folks moving on to North Campus, there's actually a lot just slightly north off campus is where you'll be sent to. And then if you're moving into the Ridge or South Campus, both of those tents will be located in the commuter C lots on South Campus. And so make sure you're taking a look at your move-in guide on our website and the move-in app that you can bring up to see exactly where you're going to the tent that you need to get to. And then when you get on campus, make sure you're following, there'll be plenty of signage to send you exactly where you need to go to get in line. There's a tendency once you see the tent to panic and drive straight to the tent. We highly recommend that you don't do that because you'll probably go in the wrong way and we'll have to send you right back around to a different way to get in. So again, just follow those guides and you should get right to where you need to go. You'll get in line and then we'll proceed, give you your keys and then send you on to the building once there's an opening to unload.
Thanks, Dave. Next question is for Sydney. Does dining services also accept cash or debit, or is it only dining dollars?
Nope, we accept cash, debit, dining dollars, Viking dollars, all of that. And then there are a few locations on campus that accept SNAP benefits as well.
Thanks, Sydney. The next question is for Dong. Can we have visitors that do not attend Western in our dorm when they are visiting if our roommate is okay with the visitor?
You may. We do have a guest policy. So anytime a guest, and that includes anybody that is, even if they live on campus, but they're not a resident of that community, they're considered a guest. Guests must make sure that they have a residential host and be accompanied by that member of the building at all times. They're also responsible for kind of notifying their roommate and may be accountable for the behaviors of their guests. Any unescorted non-residents will be required to leave the building. But overall, overnight guests are permitted if it is acceptable to the roommate, and guests may stay no more than 3 consecutive nights and 12 nights total over the course of a quarter. You can find that guest policy right here. It's a link to also all the rest of our community standards.
Thanks, Dong. Next question is for Dave. Can I expect the move-in process to only take 30 minutes?
Well, that depends a lot on how much you bring, I guess. And a little bit on kind of when you're planning on when you're coming in, and honestly which building you're checking into. Some of the buildings are really quite easy to check into if there's ample parking spaces. Some of them are a little bit more difficult, and if there's a line, getting through the line oftentimes may take 30 minutes just to get your key and get to the building to unload. Particularly first thing in the morning, if you think you're going to beat the rush, if you have the opportunity, unless you've signed up for it, I would avoid just showing up first thing in the morning, because everyone has that idea and the lines take a little bit longer at that point. So later in the morning, mid-afternoons are a good time. If you really want to get in quickly, after 4 o'clock is also a pretty decent time to get in pretty quick. But as far as unloading, it may take a little while depending on how much you bring. So, but we have seen it done. So 30 minutes can happen.
Thanks, Dave. Next question is for Anya. Can you still get your meals without your Western card the first week?
Yeah. Two ways that you can do that is I would recommend downloading the Get Mobile app. I dropped some information in the chat earlier on how to download the app. You can use that to get in and out the meal halls, the dining hall, or you can give the cashier your W number, because not everyone will have their card that first week, and not everyone has a smartphone. So either giving the cashier your W number or using the app.
Thanks, Anya. Next question is for Katie. What is the check-in procedure for Viking Launch?
Yeah, so students in the Viking Launch program will check in on Sunday, September 11th. The tents will be up between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. And overall, the procedure is very similar to what we do on the regular move-in that starts on the 15th. It's just on a smaller scale on that day because we do have fewer people coming. So you do arrive to campus, follow the signs to your check-in tent, which will be on South Campus. And there you will get keys and then be directed to your building to unload when there is space for your car. So overall, the procedure will look just the same, and we will get you in and get you unloaded in time for your program, which begins later that afternoon. So.
Thanks, Katie. Next question is for Dong. I noticed that in the suggested essentials list, in the what to bring section of the move-in page, bed sheets are listed. Should I plan that the beds are bare mattresses?
Oh, I love that you read the suggested what to bring. That is awesome. I would totally recommend you look at that if you haven't. But yes, you will get a standard bed frame and a mattress. So they are twin extra long. So I do recommend that you bring sheets, pillows, pillowcases, things like that, your favorite stuffed animal. But if you don't have those things, or then we do have several places that you can go to purchase those things. We do have a Target, a Walmart, a Fred Meyer, or a Kroger, depending on where you live, and other stores where you can buy bed sheets, and they usually have good deals for students right at the start of the year.
Thanks, Dong. The next question is for Anya. Anya, is it required or strongly recommended to wear masks during move-in day?
Yep, that is a really good question. So right now, the current policy at Western is masks are not required, but they are encouraged. Again, that is the policy today. And we've learned with COVID is that the policies change frequently. So it's always good practice to, maybe just check the main Western website before you move in. There's a whole section on COVID-19 FAQs, but right now, as of today, it's not required, just encouraged.
Thanks, Anya. Next question is for Katie. Are beds assigned prior to move-in, or are they up for grabs on a first come, first served basis?
Always a great question. So yeah, there are, in our double rooms, there's 2 beds. In our triple rooms, there are 3 beds. And we do not pre-assign the beds themselves. So that is something that you need to work out with any of your roommates or suite mates in terms of who is in which, who actually occupies which bed, who has dibs on which portion of the closet, that sort of thing. It's something to definitely at the start of the year, kick off the year right by having those discussions with your roommate. And if you need assistance with that or have any issues, your hall staff, your RAs, and your DAs are there to help you if you need. So.
Thanks, Katie. Next question is for Anya. Are students required to stay the night in their dorm on move-in day, or are they allowed to stay the night with their family until they leave the next day?
Yeah, students are definitely allowed to stay with their family. There's no requirement that they stay on campus. Once the student arrives and they check out their keys, they have access to their room until the end of the academic year or whenever their contract ends. There's no, we don't monitor, whether you stay or not. You have access to the room. It's up to you whether or not you sleep in it.
Thanks, Anya. Next question is for Dave. What is the best way to get all your belongings into your dorm if you're going to live in housing that only has stairs? I don't want to leave all my belongings on the curb while I'm moving them up.
The first suggestion I have would be pack light. But with that said, there's a couple things. One is we do have student volunteers and folks who help during move-in, the Western Welcome Team, that are there to actually help you move in. And so if you see some of them, I would recommend, and they may ask you, depending on how many people are moving in at that time, if you need help. That way you can get more of your belongings up all at once. But the other thing is think and plan before you leave, so that if you're bringing family or can bring a friend, if you are worried about your belongings on the curb, and I totally understand that, have one person stay with the belongings while the other makes a trip up, or again, grab some of the Western Welcome folks to help move up. But then you always have someone that's there who's watching some of those pieces. The Western Welcome Team can also watch your belongings. So if your second person has to go move the car before they come back, we can do that as well.
Thanks, Dave. Next question is for Katie. What is the Move-In app that was mentioned, and where is that information on the website?
Yeah, so our move-in page, which I will get in the chat, has a lot of great move-in information. The app itself, what we refer to, is actually the time slot scheduler, which also has more specific information about move-in. So if you've already been in to schedule a time, you can go back in and review the info in there, and also check out our webpage for information as well.
Thanks, Katie. Next question is for Anya. What is the recommended view for students who want to bring their cars the first year?
I would say, Western is a beautiful campus. We're on beautiful hills, but we do not have a whole lot of parking spaces. Parking permits are assigned to students based on the number of credit hours they have under their belt. So a senior is going to have seniority over a freshman on getting a parking permit. Every student that's enrolled has access to the bus system for free. So you're using your Western ID will get you free transportation on all of the buses and can get you, we have a great system in Bellingham and can get you wherever you need to go. There is street parking that doesn't require a parking permit, but again, parking is limited. Beautiful campus, lots of hills, great views, but there really isn't a whole ton of parking. And I wish there was someone on here from the transportation. I don't know that every freshman that signs up for a parking permit has one awarded to them. So if you can avoid it, I would recommend avoiding it.
Yeah, I second that, Anya. When I lived on campus at Western, I was lucky enough to get a parking permit as a freshman, but it was in the C lot, which is pretty much the furthest lot from all of the residence halls. So even though I did have somewhere to park my car, I still had to walk up the hill to get to the ridge every day that I was going to my car. So after living a year with it there, I realized I didn't really need a car up there. Like Anya mentioned, the bus transportation is really, really nice. It's free as a Western student, so it just makes sense to use it while you can. So the next question is for Dong. My move-in date is Sunday. Are there questions happening earlier in the weekend that I'll miss?
Not exactly. We have some light events happening. Campus has a few light events that are happening, mainly for students that are still coming back, but the majority of students will come back Sunday, and then off-campus students Monday, Tuesday. So a lot of events will start happening beginning Monday, that first week. But we have a few things in the halls for people to meet each other and get out and meet some new people. But for the most part, all of the big events will begin Sunday, Monday, and onward. And so I would still refer to the WIN network and looking at your email and posters in the hall, but you won't. I promise you won't miss out on anything big. So,
Thanks, Dawn. Next question is for Dave. What furniture is in the rooms, especially storage like a dresser or closet space? Can we plan to bring clothing storage furniture?
Yeah, so the furniture that's in there, so each student has access to a bed, a desk, a dresser or dresser space, and a wardrobe. And so there's really ample furniture already in the room. And so I wouldn't suggest bringing extra furniture for storage. What I would suggest for storage is more of organizer type things. So something that could go under your bed or in the wardrobe so that you can organize, whether it's t-shirts or things like that, however you want to do it. Extra organizational kind of things is really, really helpful, including if you're in a suite, bringing one of the bigger organizers or something that'll fit under the sink where toiletries can go. That's also really, really helpful and very popular with students.
Thanks, Dave. Next question is for Dong. Where can we store bikes if we are bringing one?
yeah, we have plenty of indoor and outdoor bike storage. About a third of our halls have indoor, a little more than a third of our halls have indoor bike storage, but they do fill up fast. But there should be plenty of bike storage when you include the outdoor. And so my recommendation is if you have the ability to hold off on bringing your bike, like Anya mentioned, we do have a really great bus system. Our campus is also on a hill, so it's usually a good idea to kind of acclimate yourself to our campus, see how much you use the bus or walk around, and then decide to bring the bike. But you're welcome to bring the bike. We have plenty of bike storage indoor and outdoor, and you'll just need to make sure you bring a lock. So,
thanks, Dong. Next question is for Anya. Are washers and dryers free in the dorms?
Yeah, that is a great question. Yes, every building is equipped with a laundry room that has washers and dryers, and those are free to use. It's all part of your cost. The cost of the washer and dryer is kind of built into your room rate. So you don't need to stock up on quarters or buy a laundry card. It's free, it's included.
Thanks, Anya. Next question is for Dave. Have the rooms, including the dressers and wardrobes, been cleaned, or do we need to plan to do that ourselves?
Yeah, so the summer, our custodial staff goes through and deep cleans all the rooms. So when you get in, everything should be cleaned. I will say, depending on when they finalize the last clean, sometimes if there's a week or two since they made that clean, there might be a little bit of dust or something like that that's in there, or occasionally a stray cobweb or something. So there is that possibility that'll happen. However, do know that if there's anything when you move in that you feel hasn't been cleaned well enough, we do have custodial on site. So if you let staff know, we'll respond and be able to get in there to do some cleaning as well.
Thanks, Dave. Next question is for Katie. Will we receive actual keys or will it be key cards? I'm assuming for the residence halls.
Yeah, so that will vary depending on what building you are in. So some of our newer buildings that were more recently built have key cards that will get you into the exterior of the building, your suite and your particular room. Other buildings have a plastic RFID chip fob that will get you into the exterior of the building, and then a brass key for your room, and also possibly a brass key for your suite. So when you get your keys, there are instructions on the back of your key envelope with more specific information on how to use them. Also, the folks handing them out will be able to explain them in detail if you have questions too.
Thanks, Katie. The next question is for Dave. What are recommended steps for staying safe at night on campus?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I would start by saying, in general, Western's a really safe campus. With that said, do know that things can happen. So I think the idea of thinking about how to stay safe is a really, really great question to ask ahead of time. And I will say, even just being in the resident hall when you leave, make sure you're locking your door before you go. And students often get really comfortable with their neighbors and feel really good and safe in there. But it's always good to lock your door before you go, just to keep your things safe and keep your roommates' things safe as well. When you're walking on campus, especially at night, do know we have lighted paths. I always recommend that you stay on lighted paths. At night, walk with a friend, be intentional about where you're going. And if you're going out particularly late at night, let someone know where you're going and when you expect to be back, so that if you're not, they can call or just to check and see make sure everything's okay with you. We do have university police on campus who do patrols, and our RAs do 2 rounds each night during the weekdays and 3 on the weekends too, just to make sure doors are locked and in place and that things are going okay. The other thing I would say too is, when you're coming back into your building, one of the biggest things is when you use your key card to get into the building, be careful and don't let people come in behind you, trail behind you. Make sure the door shuts, let them use their key or key card to come in, so that we're just helping other people in the building stay safe as well.
Thanks, Dave. Next question is for Anya. Do students get a certain spot in the parking lot they get a parking permit to?
No, the permit is just specific to the lot. And so you just would park in any open spot within the lot that you're assigned to.
Yeah, that's a really great question too. And I will add back to the, if it's worth it to bring a car your freshman year, the other thing about having a spot in the C lot is that that's where most other people have a spot. So sometimes you are all the way at the very end, which adds on another 5 to 10 minutes to your walk that you already anticipated, whereas you could just hop on the bus and get dropped off right outside of your dorm room. So that is just another little anecdote about why bringing a car to campus. It's just easier. Next question is for Dave. Are we able to loft the bed high enough to fit the desk underneath in Mathis? How about the other buildings?
Yes, another great question and very common question. So there are a few buildings where the beds do come, like if you're in a triple room, generally in a triple, one of the beds is already lofted. If you're in Burnham Wood, in order to get all the furniture in the bedrooms, both beds are lofted. Other than that, unfortunately, there is not an option to loft the beds. So when you come in, your bed will be in the regular position, or it may be in what we call a high single or a captain. And those are the only options to be able to either keep it low or put it in that high single captain position. When you put it in the captain high single position, there's enough room underneath there to put some storage items, one of those storage containers like I was talking before, but there is not enough room to put a desk underneath there. We don't have kits. You're not able to bring in a kit or construct a loft, but what you can do is you can purchase bed risers. So you can use bed risers that are store-bought bed risers. So don't bring in cement blocks or anything like that. Store-bought bed risers that are stable, have a stable base on them, can be used to raise the bed an additional 10 inches. And again, it's really to provide more for storage than to put your desk underneath there.
Thanks, Dave. Next question is for Dong. What is the best way to make friends on campus?
Great question. I can speak broadly, which is to say that get involved. It might seem obvious, but it can be a challenge to put yourself out there, look up a club, try different clubs, try a club that you're curious about. I was on the sailing team. I tried to look at Glee Club, didn't work out there. I looked at a yo-yo club recently, and I'm not even a student. And I joined an Avatar: The Last Airbender club. I joined every club, some fizzled out, some, and that just puts you out there and you meet people with similar interests. Get involved, look for a student job. You'll meet peers that you can relate to, that'll be your support network. Volunteer for things that are of interest to you. Look for those opportunities on campus. The other thing I would really say is if you'll spend a lot of time with your roommate, you'll live with them probably for like 9 months, and so you'll have plenty of time to get to know them. One thing that I'd really recommend at the start of the year is get involved. Go to every single silly event in your hall, even if it's like Play-Doh night, like just go. Even if it's like 10 people there, that's probably some of the best time that you'll get to connect with somebody, because it's like 10 people and you'll get to talk and have a chance to actually meet people. Some of those really big events with like 200 people, it's sometimes harder and more intimidating to meet people. And those small intimate moments where you're just like having a pizza and hanging out watching a movie, those are probably really good times to meet your next best friend. And I really recommend it, especially in your residence hall. We have something called the Residential Programming Board. It's a group of students with money that gets to, and student leaders. It's like high school ASBs, student government kind of feel, where you get to put on fun events for your hall. So if there's an event that you want to see that isn't happening, boy, do we have resources for you to put that on. And when I was a student, I put on a Mario Kart tournament and stuff like that. And so really those little events in your hall really play a big role for you to meet people. And the last thing I would say is really pay attention to the type of the hall that you live in. I do think it has a big impact. Some more apartment style, like people might not open their doors as often. And so you may need to rely more on those programs and put yourself out there to meet people. But really, at the start of the year, really get involved in everything. Go to every single event, because I think you'll meet people. The odds will be really high that you'll meet other people, because everybody's trying to make friends and find their place here. So
Thanks, Dong. This is the last question of the night as we wrap up. Any of my panelists can answer this, so if something comes to mind, just shout it out. What is the best welcome event to go to on campus if you only had to choose one?
I think Info Fair. Info Fair is a really solid one because it kind of it touches on every single department on campus, and you get to see tables from all of the clubs that Dong was talking about, and it kind of just gives you a good overview.
I would really agree with the Info Fair. It's a 2-day event, and it is a blast with lots of free stuff. That is probably the most fun for me. But probably I'm a little bit more sentimental at times, and symbolically, convocation is really important to me. You get to hear the president welcome you, and it can be a little boring sometimes, but to me, symbolically, that is really important, that you're welcomed. And a lot of times you get cheered on by staff, faculty, upperclassmen, things like that, and they play the bagpipes. So symbolically, that's really important to me. And when I graduated, like that graduation kind of mirrored convocation, which is the start of your college career. But Info Fair is really fun.
So I can't say the same things, and I'm not a person who can just say one thing. So real quick. The first one is on Sunday night, go with your building or your floor or your stack to the first dinner. And I think that's just super fun because it's the first time like your community really gathers and goes someplace together, and you just meet people and you're eating dinner with them, and that's where you make those first connections. It's a really great way to make those first connections and to get to know your RA a little better. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I would just say this, pay attention to the opening week activities at the rec center, because that's a great habit to get into, is going to the rec center and seeing everything they offer. Even if it's just hanging out in a 20-person hot tub, there's some fun stuff. And so many students I hear keep meaning to go to the rec center and just can't find time. So go check it out before your classes start and kind of hang out and have some fun.
Thanks, Dave. All right, well, we wanted to thank you all for coming tonight. We will post the recording to the webinar on our housing website if you want to rewatch it, or if you know anybody that missed tonight and would like to know answers to questions. Again, always please email us at housing@ww.edu with any of your questions. Keep checking your Western email. We are excited to welcome you in just a couple weeks here. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.